90 players and 10 coaches have already found a spot on this remarkable monument. And tonight, we reveal the final 10 men who comprise the NFL 100 all-time team. And they happen to be the 10 greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. All right, the 6-week journey here on the NFL 100 all-time team from NFL Films is about to end, and in this now quarterback-driven league, it's only fitting that we end with the quarterback group of this all-time great class. 10 of them will be named tonight, including 3 joining me, Rich Eisen, Chris Collinsworth, and Bill Belichick right here at this table in person. 3 all-time greats are going to show up here. We might as well get right to it. Tom Brady, 6-time Super Bowl champion, the 199th overall pick in the 2000 draft out of Michigan, has had a storybook career. He is a 3-time MVP.
Got locked in now, laser focus.
A 4-time Super Bowl MVP.
They have completed the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history.
Nobody's ever won more Super Bowls. Nobody's ever been better.
Congrats, man.
Awesome. You too, man.
Yeah, I love you. Way to go. Love you too, man.
And yes, he joins us right here at NFL Films. Good to see you, Tom Brady.
Hi, Rich. Good
Congrats
to see you,
on the 100, the NFL 100 all-time team spot.
Well, it's pretty amazing. I think you look at all the names and so many of the guys that I looked up to over the years that were my idols and heroes. And I love everyone that supported me and really challenged me, especially Coach, to be the best I could be. And I'm glad I'm sitting here, but I'm glad I'm still doing it too.
And it started with an oh-so-sexy combine picture. Can you imagine, Rich, from that picture all the way to where he is today?
It's the damn internet. I mean, I could have tore up one picture and you'd never see that again. But it's actually a great thing for me to see because it reminds me of where I started. And we all have our story. And I started a place, and I always felt I was looking up at everybody, and I felt like I was looking up at everybody in high school and in college, and certainly when I started in the pros. And through a lot of help and a lot of support, I just learned, and I kept trying to get a little bit better and a little bit better and keep growing and keep evolving, and I still feel like I'm trying to do that today.
Nobody knows this better than you do, the journey of what you had in the beginning, and when did you know that he was something a little bit different?
Well, Tom was special his rookie year, even though he didn't play. His leadership with the other rookies in the class, we had a big rookie class. Tom took them every day after practice and would run them up and down the field in their offensive plays, and was clearly a leader on the field. And then, had a very good training camp in 2001. Kind of the crossroads was in the middle of the 2001 season when we played the Rams. That was the week that Drew had come back, and so I split the reps between Tom and Drew that week. And the Rams beat us in that regular season game on Sunday night.
Warner straight back, sets up, now steps up, fires for the end zone, caught, touchdown Rams.
And I didn't think that was Tom's best game, but in retrospect, I looked at it and thought that it would be hard for anybody to play well, only getting half the reps. So the following week against New Orleans, I said, we're just going with Tom, and he's going to get all the reps, and he's going to play. That's what Mr. Kraft's paying me to do, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the decisions that I think are the best for the football team. T-E-A-M as in team. You played very well in that game, and I think that's one of the real trademarks of Tom's career is there've been a couple games along the way where it hasn't been his best, but the next game has always come back and been, an outstanding game. So that was a real turning point, I would say, in that season and ultimately in the evolution of Tom's great career.
Well, it worked out because you won 9 in a row. From that point on, that actually was the right button to push right there.
Yeah, that was our last loss that year, was the Rams game, and wasn't very well coached by me, and so I thought we gave ourselves a lot better chance when we played them a second time around. But that was really right in the middle of the season. There, we were 5-5, could have gone either way, and Tom really came through for us in a big way, starting with that New Orleans game.
Tom, are you aware that he thought you were special, part of the rookie class at the time? Is that news to you right now, or did you know that?
Yes and no. I think having him putting me on the field, I knew that he was confident in me. And obviously, over a lot of years of playing for him, I realized that he was always going to play, the person that he thought was best for the team. And he'll tell you all the time, it doesn't matter where you come from. I don't give a where you were drafted, how we got you here. You're here to win. And if you're not the best guy, you're not playing. I think that was a great opportunity for me, who's someone who was, a late round pick, and you think, God, that guy's going to get a lot more chances. And, it wasn't the case. He felt like, if you were on the team, you showed it on the practice field, you delivered when it mattered the most, and, you were going to get another shot to get out there and play.
When it mattered the most that year was the Super Bowl. And a lot of people at the end of that game, you guys are winning, then the Rams, greatest show on turf, they are ripping in the fourth quarter, right? This thing is out of control. Everybody's thinking, oh, just go take a knee, get this thing to overtime.
And now with no timeouts, I think that the Patriots, with this field position, you have to just run the clock out. You have to play for overtime now.
But you didn't. You put the ball in his hands and came up with the game winner. Did you ever even remotely consider just taking a knee and getting it to overtime?
Well, we started pretty conservatively, and Tom did a good job of managing that game. Got to J.R. Redmond, he got out of bounds. The big play really was to Troy Brown on under route, and the Rams are in a three-man rush. Tom made a great read, hit Troy. Troy got out of bounds, and then that really gave us a chance to set it up, and Tom handled the last play perfectly with a little return route to Wiggins, put Adam in position. I felt like, at that point, we're sending our best player on the field, Adam Vinatieri, out to, to kick a game.
Our Super Bowl champions, the Patriots are Super Bowl champions. Oh, baby.
Put us in that moment.
We had, I think it was minute 21, right around there, and no timeouts, but we didn't have to go that far. We had to kick a field goal when it was indoor, and, Adam was an incredible player. So, for a quarterback, when you're in that situation, it's usually just one big play, that allows you to, one big chunk, and you've got a good chance.
But you're a kid in the Super Bowl, and this is the moment that you've thought about your entire life. Yeah. It was just the game?
Well, I went to Michigan. There was 110,000 people in that stadium.
Damn straight you did.
I know. And you know what? In a weird way, I played in my fourth year in college. We played in the Citrus Bowl. We came back and we threw a touchdown pass to win the game. My fifth year, we played Alabama in the Orange Bowl. And, we won in overtime. So I actually kind of felt like, oh, here's another bowl game, that I get a chance to play in. And, it was just kind of, I'm glad I didn't have the perspective of how hard it was to actually win the Super Bowl. I just thought, well, yeah, I won at Michigan, and then I came and I got a chance to play for the Patriots, and we're winning this year. And it just kind of felt like it was a continuation of a lot of things that I had done, but then it really realized how hard it was in about 2010 and 11 after we hadn't won in a lot of years. And I was like, God, I never realized how hard it is to win the Super Bowl. It's hard to get there, and it's so hard to win it because, you're fighting against all the odds. So it was really a magical moment. And I remember seeing Coach the morning after the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and we both got in the limousine. We probably were working off probably not any sleep at all. And he said, Tom, just want to let you know you had a pretty good year. And I said, thanks, Coach. And it's been pretty magical ever since.
Well, this is pretty magical. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick together on the NFL 100 all-time team. Why would you go anywhere?
Brady drops back to throw, looks, fires right. Touchdown! And the Patriots are Super Bowl champions! Seymour, the fullback, offset right, play action fake. Brady fires, touchdown! 2 Super Bowl championships in 3 years. Look, fires to the right. Touchdown! Back to back. 3 out of 4. Butler has it at the 1. A 4th Lombardi Trophy is headed to one Patriot place.
We did it, Josh! Not play tougher, harder, tougher, everything.
Toss to White. He's in. Patriots win the Super Bowl. And if there was any doubt coming into this game about Tom Brady and where he ranks, nobody's ever won more Super Bowls. Nobody's ever been better.
It's 4th quarter and it's money time for the greatest guy that ever suited up. That throw to Gronkowski, folks. That one's for NFL Films.
And the Patriots 6th Super Bowl title.
It is amazing for me, and because people don't think of Bill as an offensive coach, right? Everybody thinks of the Giants and all the things that he's accomplished on defense. But you two have conversations, I think it's on Tuesday, where you go over what's about to happen.
Flag. If that corner starts running high for the backside post, then you can throw the flag too.
Oh, you're saying let it dive on it and then bring it back out.
Then the Z whips it back to the
Right. I got you.
To the flag. Then you have everything.
Right.
And then Randy's in a tight split, and then you can run him back on a cross across the field if it's like one cover.
Right.
You know, maybe have 2 plays like that in the plan.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
He knows everything about football. It's not just defense, but to sit in a meeting room, in a squad meeting room, and then, listen to his analysis of the game and the things that we need to do to win and the things that we can't do. And then to sit in a quarterback room and really analyze defensive scheme and, what's going to happen on defense if we start in this formation and what if, after we motion, and if we line up in this, what are they going to call? And that extensive knowledge of everything was something that I really loved. And I feel like the more input that he gave me, the more I could actually absorb. And I think some players get confused when they get a lot of information. For me, I love the information because I can retain all the information and recall it when I need to. So every meeting that I sat in with him, he's giving me knowledge and information, and I'm just writing it down and soaking it up. And I think over many, many years, talking about whether it's defensive players that we would talk about in our Tuesday meetings, or later in the week, the Saturdays, we always meet Saturdays before the game to talk about kind of our final prep and getting ready to go. He was always someone that I just relied on and still do today to, so that we're always on the same page and that we're in the moment. I know what he's thinking. He knows what I'm thinking, that he has the confidence in me to execute exactly what's in the best interest of the team. So it's just been a great, it's just a great relationship.
Yeah, I think I've probably taken as many notes in those meetings as Tom has.
How so?
I see the game through a coach's eyes, right, and Tom sees it through the quarterback's eyes. And so he'll comment to me, well, this is what I saw in this play, or here's, what maybe do this, or especially when we look back on plays, like what happened on this play. And even that during the game, we'll come off the field and say what happened on this play. And he'll tell me 5 different things that happened. Well, the tackle flashed in front of me. I lost track of the mic. Then I found him. I came in. I pressure over here. I saw the corner sitting, and I throw it. And then you go back and look at the film, and all 5 of those things happened just the way he said them. So he has a tremendous ability to see the field and see the game.
I had Danny breaking. He broke across. He came down. He was behind everything. He did not take the wheel. I know he didn't. And he didn't take the post. Like, if they trap this hard, we just got to get in this little hole right here. I just don't want you up here. Yeah. Just keep a distance from that guy. Yeah.
Tom, we all think of Bill as this warm and fuzzy guy, so I'm sure it's been nothing but a bed of roses the entire time. Give us a little bit of behind the scenes, because he coaches everybody kind of the same way, right? And it's not always been easy.
And I think what Coach does is he takes all the information that he gets, and in the end, he simplifies it for every position. And you'll hear him so many times on the sideline, whether it's this last Super Bowl or whether it's all the way back coaching for the Giants. His coaching points, this is the thing you have to do, and it's 1, 2, 3.
Look, fellas, it's just about doing our job. Just cover your man. Do what you're supposed to do. We're trying to make too many plays, and we're not doing what we're supposed to do. Playing the underthrown ball, tackling, jamming the receivers. Just play the defense. That's all we got to do.
That's not what I'm asking. Here's what I'm asking. When he's on your butt, and you're thinking, hey, I'm Tom effing Brady out here. Who are you talking to? I have won Super Bowls for you. I've put more rings on you. And at some point, you guys have conversations that are real, right? That are
absolutely
real. And somehow this relationship has survived.
Yeah. Well, for a lot, there's a lot of reasons. I think, we have a great relationship. We always have. And I think, it's been about winning. That's why I'm still playing today. It's because I want to win. And there's nothing that's going to get in the way of that. And I felt like that's the same thing for him. And I know it appears that we're different in ways, but we're so similar in many ways that people would probably never see. That his focus is on every day, how is he going to help the team win? I wake up every day thinking, how am I going to be the best I can be to help our team win? I think when you show up
every day like that. I know he works every day and tirelessly to make that happen. That's what I feel like I try to provide too. And that's the example that he sets, and it trickles down to everyone else.
I don't think you're going to get a story of the time he wanted to tell Bill to go stuff it.
No, I mean, I think
Maybe Bill will tell it.
I know.
I'm sure he wanted to tell him a couple times too.
There's moments where you feel, it's you do that with your wife, you do that with people you work with. I mean, you don't always see things eye to eye, but look, we have conversations about it too, and I think you talk about them, and you make it work. It proved to work pretty early on in our career, and I think over a long course of many years, it's just let's try to replicate it and do the same thing year after year.
I know we've had a conversation about this, and I remember that you talked about the conversations, the private meetings that you guys had together, and how much you enjoyed it. Because when you're talking to most players, right, you're going to be here, some here, and then with Tom, you kind of get to go to this ultimate level to talk football.
Yeah, no question. Tom's at an elite level. He'd be certainly at the very, very top of all the players that I coach intellectually, from an experience standpoint, and just decision making. He can make split-second decisions better than anybody that I've ever seen. It's incredible some of the things that he processes, as I said, that might have happened a month ago, 3 years ago, and he instantaneously can do the right thing at the right time.
Look, it's really taken him a long time to get organized on the line. Let's get up under center.
They're all kind of mulling in there.
Yeah, so just go and zone it. Same we did against the Jets a couple years ago.
It's special. It's special.
What's his signature play, in your estimation, based on the library of
a lot of plays?
I know, but I mean, I heard something about J.R. Redmond catching something with a certain specific amount of time.
It wasn't a great decision by me.
What do you mean?
He escaped to barely get out of bounds. I think he dove for the sideline, but
it all worked out.
It worked out good.
Well, there are a lot of them. One of the great early ones I think was the AFC Championship game against Pittsburgh at the Branch on the post, and we list 1,000 of them. Certainly the seam pass to Gronkowski in the most recent Super Bowl was, a great touch throw. I mean, there's 1,000 of those too.
It's fourth quarter and it's money time for the greatest guy to ever suit it up. That throw to Gronkowski, folks, and that's one for posterity.
That was a special play.
Other than drafting you, what would be, in your mind, his signature coaching moment for you, Tom?
I mean, there's been so many. I think this last Super Bowl summed it all up. We had 2 weeks to prepare for an offense that was as good as there was in the NFL last season. It was just an incredible defensive performance. And again, as a player, you want your coach to always put you in the best position to win. And that's all you can ask for as a player. You want to be, pushed to be your best every day. And he never lets off. And I think every player, whoever leaves and still plays, appreciates a coach that, drives you and pushes you so that you want to see the best you could be too. And if everyone is always telling you how great you are, it's only a matter of time before human nature kicks in and you start to believe it. Well, you're not going to hear that very often. And he'll say, look, I'm not going to congratulate you for doing your job. Don't expect me to come in here and pat you on the back for throwing a bunch of touchdown passes.
Look, we're certainly not big on individual stats around here, but 50,000 yards, Tom. Pretty good for a sixth-round draft.
I think probably the greatest team to ever play was our 2017. We had dominated the entire season. We went to Dallas, they were undefeated, and we beat them pretty bad. We went to Indy, they were undefeated, we beat them. We scored every time we touched the ball in Buffalo late in the season. And coach would come in on Monday, and I swear to God, you thought we lost 50-0. And you're like, how the hell? We didn't punt. And we come in and you thought that we got beat.
None of this matters. It's about a 1 week season. Yep. It's a 1 week season. We weren't ready to go. Paid the price for it. And we're really, pretty fortunate to pull that one out. We need to have a good week. We're in tomorrow, fellas. Last week was your week off. Got to get the ball in the red area, fellas. We left a lot of points out there.
We would never have been in the Super Bowl 18-0 with a chance to be 19-0 had we not had that coaching.
I want to ask you about one game that may be my favorite game I ever called in my life. It was the last game of the year that year against the Giants.
Good day to throw. Yeah, not always. Yeah. Well, no, not always.
It absolutely had no impact on the season. It was like Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed fighting at the end of one of those Rockies just for fun kind of thing. Tell me a little bit about that game. It was unbelievable.
Well, I think every game's an important game if you're competing in it. I think if you're a competitor, they all mean something.
Did you think of pulling of not putting everybody out on the field? And
no, because it was about competition, and everybody wanted to compete.
Did you think about being perfect, getting that 16-0?
No, I was thinking more about beating the Giants, because the other ones, whether they did or didn't happen, were already in the books. It's just about that. It's just about that 1 week.
The Patriots, the first team since the 1972 Miami Dolphins to go through a regular season undefeated. 16-0. Perfection personified by the Patriots.
We really didn't think the history of 16-0. I mean, that's the whole.
Well, of course you want to go undefeated, of course, but
right.
We would have wanted to beat the Giants if we were, 7-8 or whatever numbers are. I think going back to Tom, one of the, I think it wouldn't be a signature play. But it was.
He's just nodding his head. What he's saying.
I said, that's him. It's absolutely. That's Coach right
We just
there.
got it right there.
I mean, honestly, it's one game. You got a chance to win. That's what you do.
Not a signature play, but one of the great plays, one of the great Tom Brady plays of all time was the scramble against the Bears, one-on-one against Brian Urlacher, and made him miss in the open field.
I tell you, that's one you don't see very often. You got Urlacher going against Tom Brady in the open field. Tom Brady sees the opening, and he does not pick up the first down if Urlacher makes the tackle there.
We know Brian's in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
But we know he can do it. We know he can run.
There's only a couple of those in the library. But
yeah, part of your 1,000-yard
I got over 1,000 this year.
Career.
That's a Lifetime Achievement Award. That might be the Hall of Shame,
Well, it's part of the reason why you're on the wall, Tom.
Yeah, exactly.
It's part of the reason why you're here in the NFL 100 all-time team. So when we come back, we're going to add yet another member, not only to the all-time team, wall right here as well on our NFL film set when we come back. All right, welcome back to the finale of the NFL 100 all-time team, and another member of our monument has been added. 6 more rings on the wall. It is you, Tom Brady, right up there next to the coach.
Cool.
Just like right here on our set.
That's a good spot.
That's a good spot indeed. And let's now add another quarterback to this roster. Straight from Mississippi, Brett Favre. 20 seasons in the National Football League.
Hey, let's go every drive. We got to think that way. We really got to think that way. He flipped it into the end zone backhand. Brett Favre is something else.
3-time MVP and 11-time Pro Bowler, and he retired as the owner of every major career passing record. He is now a member of the NFL 100 all-time team. Good to see you, Brett Favre.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate that. When did you guys first meet? Do you remember that?
I think we actually talked. It was on a preseason. I think it was preseason game in Green Bay. I think. But
Would you remember, Tom?
Yep.
Am I right?
It was 06. 2006 we played in the preseason. But we played you one other time before that, which you killed us. In 2002, in the rain game.
Yeah, that was bad.
1 out of 15
they weren't having a great year, and this is a quick story, but
sure.
They showed their inactive list, and I think every corner on their roster was inactive. So they signed a bunch of guys on the street. So I was so excited. And Brett came in, and I just remember him running around, unbuckling his chin strap and throwing touchdown passes.
Favre is just right on the money. Favre play action, pump fakes once, throws the left side of the end zone, leaping attempt made. Touchdown! Back line of the end zone, Bubba Franks. Wow.
Well, Brett, I mean, what does it mean for you? Obviously, you thought you probably were done with all the accolades that you could ever have in your career or life about being named one of the 100 members of this team.
Yeah, I'm extremely honored. When I was a little kid, I wanted to play pro football. I wanted to be Roger Staubach. I loved Roger. That's who I looked up to. He's my favorite player, and he's still my guy. And to be able to do exactly what I wanted to do and do it for so long and to have accomplished so much. At one time, maybe not so much now, have all the passing records. I mean, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. And I think for me, when I was a kid, we only got 2 channels, so you didn't have NFL Film, you didn't have NFL Network, I couldn't watch everybody. So if Dallas was not a regional, I had to watch the Saints. And I loved Archie Manning, but they were horrible. but he was a bright spot. My deal was Roger Staubach and Archie Manning. I never thought about Pro Bowls, never thought about MVPs. I envisioned what it would be like to run out on the field for a Super Bowl and how cool that would be. And so I got to live that. Everything that has come after has been like, are you kidding me? It wasn't like I'm waiting for, well, when are they going to retire my number? Just playing and being able to be Roger Staubach or to be Archie Manning is enough. And I mean that with all honesty.
I really do believe you're the one player out of all that I've played against or met that if all of a sudden nobody got paid to play football, you still would have played.
I would have.
You would have played.
I would have.
And some of the things that you did on the field are still a little mind-boggling. I mean,
good and bad.
Good and bad. I'll give you that. But throwing with your feet off the ground more often than not. Can you possibly explain to me, Tom? I'm sure every fundamental coach you ever had is like, this won't work. You can't play quarterback like that. How did that happen?
You know, honestly, by accident. My dad was my coach, and he was old school. Rather than do 7-on-7, we did Oklahoma drill. You know, if I were to ever say, Dad, you know, maybe we should look at throwing. He'd say, I'm coaching the team. You do what I tell you, and so be it. We never worked on fundamentals. As a high school senior, I could throw it 75 yards, but, you know, when teams would come in, colleges and the recruiting coach would come in, he would say, Coach Favre, I want to see your son throw. And he goes, well, you better come and watch pregame. And I'm being honest, because we ran the wishbone and the wing tee. And so I guess what I'm getting at is we never worked on fundamentals and footwork. I didn't know what reading, flat defender on a curl drag, a high-low, that stuff. When I got to college, I'll never forget when I became a starter as a freshman. We ran the I formation, we ran option, toss sweep, and we would sprint out. There was never any, all right, we're going to read the weak side defender. But I said, if they blitz, what do I do? My coach very seriously looked at me and said, you make something happen. And I went, I like that. And that's kind of the way I played.
Favre came off the bench and led the Golden Eagles in a comeback victory in his varsity debut.
Yeah, I didn't know how good I was. I didn't know how bad I was. I just knew that I was going to do all I could. And at times, maybe it looked bad, but I was going to come right back. I was resilient. And I think, it's just kind of how I played. I don't know what else to say.
I got to tell you, you're going to hate me for bringing this up. The playoff game, you threw 6 interceptions, probably made the biggest impression on me of any game I'd ever seen you play.
Favre play action, unloads near side, and Williams has got it.
There's Favre back. Has it picked off. Favre has the ball deflected and intercepted. And bad just got worse for the Green Bay Packers.
I'm sorry. I really am. I'm sorry. But it didn't matter that you would have thrown 15 interceptions. Most people, they get a certain number. It's like, okay, we're going to check it down. Let's get out of this game, whatever. You always thought you were going to win the game, didn't you?
I did. And it's funny because that game, after the fourth one, I know.
Belichick loves it.
I go to the sidelines, and Mike Sherman says, I think I'm just going to take you out. And I said, if I throw 2 more, I break a record.
Did you really say that?
Yeah.
What did you say back?
Go on. Go ahead. Not that I wanted to break the record, but hell, come this far.
Let's win. You still thought you were going to win.
I could have thrown check downs and check downs and check downs, and there's probably times in my career I probably should have.
Super Bowl against New England would have been nice. You thrown a couple check downs instead of those.
I was coaching against you. Tell us about prepping for Brett.
Well, first of all, there's not many people in the NFL that can say they passed on Brett twice. Twice in the '91 draft, I passed on you. So how bad is that?
But you know what, Bill? It worked out okay.
Well, a decade later. Yeah.
Yeah, but
See, I knew I could get Tom around 199.
It's cagey.
Well, just what you said, Chris. Brett was impossible to prepare for because you didn't know what he was going to do. I mean, post, check downs, scramble, extend plays. everybody was alive, everybody was at the point of attack, and every receiver was the primary receiver. And it could happen sooner in the play, later in the play. He was really tough to prepare for, but he killed us in Super Bowl.
It was a good game. I tell you that the play that is talked about the most
is a kickoff return.
Well, not
for a quarterback.
It's the first play of the game.
Yeah.
You know, Bill obviously is the ultimate schemer, and you know you really have to prepare hard. That being said, in '96, I was probably the furthest thing from a schemer and strategist, and I just kind of was like, hey, whatever.
Now, you all right? Yeah. No more rocket balls, please. Well, I was chained up. No, I know.
We had worked very minimally on all-out blitz checks. That's not his MO. He wants his guys to know exactly what to do first. Don't outsmart yourselves. That's kind of the way I look at Bill and how he coaches. We're going to know what to do.
Yeah. And
then we'll figure out if we're going to, disguise and do all this stuff later. But you're going to know what to do. So you're not going to outsmart them. So I walk up to the line, and we hadn't worked on a zero blitz, potentially an all-out more than you can block type of.
No free safety in the middle of the field.
No free safety. And all week long, sitting in the hotel, and you watch the replays.
And Super Bowl 24 about to get underway.
And they keep showing Joe Montana checking to 59 Razor.
Black 59 Razor! Black 59 Razor! 39
And I thought to myself, man, you know how cool it would be in New Orleans if I'm being 100% honest, how cool it would be if I could check to Razor and hit a touchdown in this game. But I quickly was like, well, they don't blitz. Lo and behold, I said, this kind of looks like maybe something's coming. I'm like, nah. But I had, you don't have all day to make this decision. And so I checked to it.
2nd down and 9. Brett Favre appears to be changing plays at the line of scrimmage. He's got time. He's throwing it downfield. He's got it wide open. It's going to be a touchdown to Andre Rison.
I'm running around with my helmet off, and some people may say, well, look, he's trying to, it's all about me. What I was excited about was, can you believe that this actually worked?
And Rison got the check.
Yeah. And Rison got the check. We'd been here 3 weeks.
And that's the story of why Bill Belichick's boat is called 8 rings and not 9 rings.
Yeah,
that's right. We have 8 more quarterbacks to reveal on this special 2-hour edition of the NFL 100 All-Time Team. Back in a moment. 100 All-Time Team show. We now have 92 men on the wall as Brett Favre joins the wall alongside Tom Brady there. He's also alongside here.
You've got to go back, though, to the Monday night game. Your father passed away. Yeah. And you just threw balls that everybody made plays on. I mean, it was one of the most incredible moments, I think, in NFL history.
Yeah, you're right. I could not have played any better. And that's what I wanted to do to honor my father. Yeah. And Tom knows when his mother was ill a couple of years ago, I sent him a couple of messages. I tried not to inundate him with messages, but I just know what that's like. And you want to play, you always want to play great. But when you're playing in the circumstances that I played in and others have played in, and Tom played in, there's an elevated sense of, I really want to do this for them. And that's a lot of pressure. I'll be honest with you. I played in a lot of games. By far, the most pressure I've ever felt to perform was that night.
How Brett Favre is going to be able to handle this, I have no idea.
I knew if I played okay, people say, well, what do you expect under those circumstances? But I didn't want that. And honestly, my dad, I know he would have said, get your ass out there and you play. And I don't want to hear anything about, oh, my dad died and all this stuff. It was about the team, not you. And so I wanted to honor him.
goes to work. America's most well-known number 4 is thrown for 4 touchdown passes in one half of play.
You know, I talked about it after the game, that divine intervention. I really didn't know exactly what that meant until most recently as I thought about it. You know, I probably, like most people, I thought, you know, God, just show yourself. You know, I need to know if you're real, you know, selfishly. And what happened was, what I believe is that was the sign I was looking for. It has made it easier because I know he's up there and he's proud. And, you know, what a way to honor him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking as a fan who was sitting at home watching that, I mean, everyone was rooting for you, and the fact that you not only met the moment but exceeded it was just overwhelming for just anybody who was just sitting at home watching it through the television screen.
Well, I knew my dad would want me to play, and you know, I love him so much and love this game, and it's meant a great deal to me, to my dad, and to my family, and I didn't expect this type of performance, but I know he was watching tonight.
This night will be remembered for Brett Favre. You know, when you think of his career, we're going to think of a lot of things, the Super Bowl and tremendous performances, but I think tonight's going to rank very close to the top.
His dad was tough on him growing up, and you know, he made a tough son. Coach would always say stuff like, well, he'll be there. You know, you worry about, you know, I know he's on the injury report, but don't worry. He's missed, you know, he hasn't missed a game in 15 years. You know, he'll be there. You know, don't you even think about him not playing. And that's how he was. You know, his teammates knew that he was going to be there every single week. And when you can count on that, I think it gives so much confidence to all the other guys, and it sets a tone for everyone else that they better be there too.
Well, it's only fitting that your teammates on the NFL 100 all-time team, and a quarterback that we've mentioned during this conversation is going to join us physically later to complete our roundtable discussion. But when we come back, you two are going to stick around to help welcome in and announce 2 more members of the quarterbacks class of the NFL 100 all-time team. Welcome back to the NFL 100 all-time team show. We have bronze Brett Favre on one of our walls, and the real Brett Favre here.
Brett Favre.
Yeah, the real Brett Favre right here and in person. Is all these great busts have been on loan from Canton for us over these weeks. Tom, obviously, and Bill, one day we'll get theirs. Now, let's continue announcing members of the quarterbacks class of the NFL 100 all-time team. From the Indianapolis Colts and Denver Broncos, Peyton Manning, the first overall pick of the 1998 NFL draft, played 17 seasons with the Colts and Broncos.
Hey, let's really hone in and concentrate now.
5-time MVP, 14-time Pro Bowler.
Three-man rush. He bounces around and throws. Touchdown! Move over, Brett Favre. Peyton Manning now has more touchdown passes than any other player in NFL history.
And 2-time Super Bowl champion, and he was destined, obviously, to be on this team since playing backyard football with Archie Cupper, as they say, and Eli. And it is time now to bat around Peyton Manning. You saw him practice, no doubt, many times calling his games. Chris, what was that like?
The most unusual. One of the things I love about my job is I get to watch practice. Nobody else gets to watch it. And so Peyton would come out before practice, and he would have the game plan, and he would stuff it in his shorts and it'd hang out. And before they got to calisthenics, he would jog them through the entire practice. So the offense ran the entire practice. Then they go to calisthenics, and then they come back, and Peyton Manning did the exact same thing with full speed. There was not a coach involved. There was not anybody saying a word other than Peyton Manning, so that by the time they got on the field for game day, they were used to hearing one voice and one voice only. Yeah. And I don't know how involved he was in making that game plan. I don't know if he went in a room and a puff of smoke went up and Peyton's ready. I have no idea. Yeah. But it was unbelievable to see him effectively run the show in practice.
That doesn't happen in our practices.
No, I've seen your practice too, yeah.
We let you into ours?
Every once in a while. Every once in a while.
Got to tighten up the security a little bit.
I'll say.
Peyton was such a spectacular player, and with so many we had so many great games against him. Be on the other sideline, you just knew that the margin of error was razor thin. He was a relentless competitor, and I think he had incredible expectation. I think one thing I really admire, I felt like as a 199 pick, I had a year where I, essentially could just learn and not play with no expectation. expectation. I mean, he was first pick overall. He's probably the top-rated recruit in high school, and then ends up having, the most prolific career of anybody that's ever played. So I think that speaks a lot about him and the expectation, then meeting expectation as well. And I think only he himself could really match his expectation. He was that type of athlete and competitor.
Your first career start was against him.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I ran on the field, and, like any young kid, I ran up to the other quarterback and said, "Hey, Peyton," shook his hand. I said, "I'm Tom." He's like, "I know who you are." And I thought, man, that's really cool, Peyton Manning knows who I am. And, just to compete against him, we had so many great games because, they were in the AFC, and, we knew that at the start of the year we were going to have to go through them or they were going to have to come through us. And it went that way for a long time up until he basically retired at the end of Super Bowl 50.
Soul Train Alert 13 trap, hold on.
No question, hands down, the rivalry of the decade.
I mean, we would talk about him so much, and he altered our game plan offensively, just by him being on the other sideline, which speaks to the level of play that he consistently showed.
I think for all of us that are football fans, those matchups were like the ultimate matchups. And you talked about changing the game plan. It actually happened to you one time, I think. I was calling the game, the famous 4th and 2, right? And you decided you were going to go for it, that your odds, I'm reading your mind here,
no doubt.
were better that you were going to complete a 2-yard pass than if we punted this thing back to Peyton.
If they go for this, I am going to be absolutely stunned. I should never be stunned by Bill Belichick.
Not much surprises me with New England. You kind of expect the unexpected.
And the Patriots are going to go for it on 4th down. I can't believe this.
Certainly when you see them stopped on 3rd down, you get excited, you get the ball, and when you see them going for it on 4th down, I can't lie. Obviously, you certainly get a little nervous because you realize, hey, that they might, obviously, you might get a short field, but the game might be over.
He's going for the win right here. And they really do go for it. And do they make it?
Here's what happened. Kevin Falk was bobbling the ball. So instead of getting forward progress, they marked him down where he actually landed on the ground.
Absolutely. They're going to be short. I think there'll be a few things to talk about after this game. Holy mackerel.
And ultimately incomplete. They did score, and everybody said, what's Bill doing? But what were you thinking?
I was thinking one play to win the game. But, just you want to give him the ball as few times as possible. He was very difficult to prepare for. I remember one of the long conversations Peyton and I had was out of the Pro Bowl, and it was after we had practiced, if you want to call it that, at the Pro Bowl, and we're sitting around the pool. And we were there for about 4 hours, and it was 4 hours of talking football, and we were kind of talking about the Pro Bowl and that game. But in the end, it was me trying to ask him questions that he didn't want to answer for 4 hours, and him asking me questions about football that I wasn't answering for 4 hours. And we went back and forth trying to figure out what the other guy was thinking and what the other guy was doing without saying anything.
I'd like to have been there, fly on the wall for that.
Oh, my God. It was classic. We walked out of there, and I felt good about it. He felt good about it. But in the end, I didn't really get anything out of it. I hope he didn't either.
It was interrogation at its best. He was, he was just trying to get a little nugget. And Peyton would probably be a hard nugget to get from. Now, I'd be giving information like crazy.
What about the Manning family? I know that you said growing up where you did in Mississippi. That
I grew up 50 miles from the Superdome. And the Saints, there was some lean years. It was always next year, but there was Archie. Being able to follow Archie and then have a chance to play against Peyton and Eli and know them very well. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of things that's pretty cool about playing NFL football. At times, you get to play against your idol. I've had guys that said, "Hey, man, I love watching you as a kid, but I'm going to have to sack you." There's just a lot of neat things, but the Manning family have certainly done it the way you're supposed to do it and had a high level of success.
Well, the two of you guys played against Peyton Manning together, coached against and played against 17 times. Wow. And so much is made of the chess game. You and your staff with Peyton out there Omahaing his head off at the line of scrimmage. Would you say he's the most formidable game plan for you?
Well, I think Chris hit it really is when you play against Peyton Manning, you're playing against the quarterback and the game planner and the offensive play caller. So it's really all three wrapped up into one. So all the tendencies from other games and all the, they did this against the Bears and they did this against, Buffalo and did this. That doesn't really mean anything. He's playing you. He's under center. He's got the game plan. He's going to handle the protections. He's going to make the adjustments. And he's going to call the plays, and he's going to execute the plays. So you got to really figure out how he sees the game, because in the end, that's going to trump everything else. And it's unusual to see, a quarterback like that. He's he's a little different than any of the other ones. So call it a chess game, call it a matchup, but he was all those wrapped up into one. So you've got to know that. You got to know who the play caller is. You got to know who's making the game plan, and you got to know how the quarterback thinks. And that was all Peyton Manning.
So is that a yes?
He was hard to play against, absolutely. Yeah, not as hard as this guy. It was like playing against Tom in practice.
No, I'm sure.
We had pretty good, Peyton and I obviously had a great friendship over the years and still do. And one story that probably I don't think I've ever really told, maybe a few people, but one off season we got together to talk football for 2 or 3 days, just the two of us. And I took a lot of things from it, and we worked out together. And Peyton had his little script of workout that, I got to make 2 throws running right. And I said, what if you want to throw 3 running right? Well, I don't know, I just do 2. And it was 2 times, and the workout was so structured. And it was a lot of fun. And, we were talking about game plan, and they used to run that little short under route.
Sure.
They called it dig.
Here we go. Y'all got a corner route. You got to dig. And
I always say, God, we didn't have that in our offense. And every, Marvin catching it, Reggie catching it, and I would say, God, how do you do? I said, what do you like that? I like man zone. I mean, I just keep throwing it. And I'm like, well, what if they cover, that under finally? Then, and they used to call it dig.
That myself.
And they used to call it dig. He goes, well, it's called dag. And dag would, they break out. And that's how Peyton ran it. He was going to make you, take it. And then once you took it, he had something else. And I think his ability to do that and see it real time on the field, he did that. Mm-hmm. And then the one other great thing that I took from that, because I took a lot, and, they had a protection, the counter hot protection. And I always say it was basically a trap pass. Sometimes they pull the front side guard, and sometimes they pull the center, and sometimes pull the offside guard. And they'd run a play action, and they would throw a couple combinations off it. Well, after this meeting that I had with them down in Tennessee, I came back, and Billy O'Brien was coordinator, and I said, Billy, we got to put this protection in. And I think it was the lockout year, and we ended up putting this protection in. And I swear to God, off of that action, we do a lot of things. We absolutely call that protection at least 1 or 2 times a game against them. And Rob Gronkowski has probably 50% of his offensive production on that play.
The play fake by Brady, throw down the middle. Gronk is open to the 15, angling left to the 10. He runs away from a defender. He runs to the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots.
Great play fake. They suck up. Gronkowski gets behind them. Brady puts it right on him.
So to use that play against him, well as to have basically Rob become a dominant player in the league off of that particular play is thanks to Peyton Manning.
So Tom did way better than you did getting information out of Peyton Manning. There's no question about that. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, it was.
So, but the play wasn't really sound. The protection isn't really sound. No. It's all on the quarterback to beat it and get it off. And if it doesn't look good, then just check out of it.
Yeah.
And
old school.
You guys have done that. And
then he would call old school, and it would go up back to a solid protection. So if he didn't get the look, then he would change the look, or he would try to pull someone else. Again, I think quarterbacks learn from other quarterbacks, and all you do is study and watch them. And I try to do what Brett did. I try to do what Peyton did. I'm still watching some of these young guys today going, God, how the hell did he do that? And then trying to make that a part of our game in some way.
Tom Brady, Brett Favre, now Peyton Manning. That's 3 members of the quarterbacks class of the NFL 100 all-time team. Back with more in a moment. 100 all-time team show. It's now time to introduce the 4th quarterback to this roster. Joe Montana, the great 49er quarterback, the 3rd-round pick in the 1979 draft, directed 31 fourth-quarter comebacks.
So there's 2 seconds left, and Montana will get 1 throw. Here's Montana throwing for the end zone. Right, late, he got it!
A 4-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time Super Bowl MVP.
Montana drops back, short drop, fakes once. He's going to run it himself. He's into the end zone.
Joe Montana, I'll say he is the best who's ever played the game.
And obviously, you're the first guy I got to go to on this, Tom Brady, Joe Montana.
We had season tickets to the 49ers. We sat like 3 rows on the top of the stadium. It was the one thing, every Sunday we would do after church. We would go and watch the 49ers play. It was a perfect time to grow up in the Bay Area and watch him play and watch the 49ers win and fall in love with the game. And, when I was in the parking lot at Candlestick, I was trying to be Joe Montana. And then 4 years old, I was watching the catch.
The season, the outcome of the Super Bowl berth hangs in the balance. Montana rolling out the right, looking toward the end zone, throwing under pressure, throws his pass. Caught by Clark. There's a touchdown for the 49ers.
That was a huge point in my life. He was my idol. When you saw Joe Montana on TV, you knew your team had a chance. And, 49er faithful loved Joe. My mom loved Joe.
Mine did too.
Yeah, my mom loved Joe. And
my mom hated him. My mom hated him. Beat us twice in the Super Bowl.
Montana trying to drive in the length of the field here with the game in the balance. 16-13, the Bengals lead. Montana back to throw. Throws over the middle. A fine catch by Rice. Rice into the 20. He's down to the 19. At the 10-yard line. 39 seconds remaining. Back to throw Montana. Stepped up, throws.
A lot like Tom. He made it look easy. And I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
Believe me, I know it's not easy. It's far from easy. And I ran that offense. But his footwork, his timing, his accuracy, there was never a double clutch. It was just always in rhythm.
To make it look this easy, I wonder what it feels like inside.
He just made it look easy, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
Well, for the millennials out there, you, Bill Belichick, were the defensive coordinator for those Parcells Giants teams that would butt heads with them every single year. What was the main priority for you in trying to contain Joe Montana?
The only chance you had was to try to disrupt the timing. Just as Brett said, that offense is based on timing. When that foot hit, the ball was gone and it was out on time. And the only chance you had was to try to hit the receivers and try to make him, hold the ball for a second and make him clutch it a little bit. But he was a nightmare. I still see him hitting Jerry Rice on an 80-yard touchdown pass with a minute to go in the game in Giants Stadium that beat us. That still drives me crazy.
Our team has seen that play many times.
What do you mean?
Well, he would bring up a lot of clips. He's always got a library of plays, and our Patriot teams have watched that play, because it wasn't part of a 2-minute drill, and then they checked it down the next play.
It was brutal. The first play, he fumbles the snap.
Yeah.
Okay, so now they're kind of scrambling to get back to the line of scrimmage. It's 2 minutes. We're, going fast. We're not really set. He quick counts us naturally because it's 2 minutes. We're not quite there. He hits Rice down the sideline. We lose the game.
Throwing long, way down for Rice. Complete. He's going to score.
They had him double coverage, had a man short, a man long. Kenny Hill couldn't get over there in time, and he got behind Collins.
True.
You know what?
Belichick. It's the first time he's gotten bitter this whole time. When he just gets this bitter, it's been killing me my whole lifetime.
I can't get over that. And then we go out there and play Monday night and get beat 7-3 and get beat on a post pattern. You get one touchdown against him. You get beat 7-3. It's just whatever, he's one of those guys.
Right, he is.
Like Tom, whatever it takes, that's what he does. It's just enough to get you. It might not be like his greatest game, or it's just enough. It's like Manning. What year was that? Where he had, oh my God, he has a bootleg run against us on 4th and 1. He keeps the ball.
Bootleg by Peyton Manning. Runs down the right sideline, and he goes for a first down. Great play by Manning.
He hasn't kept the ball 3 times in his entire career. Ever since then.
I'm sure you have.
It's the longest run we gave up the entire season to Peyton Manning. How embarrassing was that?
We're off and running. The bitterness is flying. I love it. This is great.
Montana, Peyton, Brady, and of course Brett Favre here. You guys will be joining us again in a second when we add a third member to our studio. But